Hey, what's going on, Wealthy Legacy Journeyers? Welcome back to the Wealthy Legacy Journey. I'm your host, Kendell Liden, and the title of today's episode is The Power of an Opportunity Switch. And it's really cool that this is our topic for today because I've seen this firsthand in multiple different ways just this week, but also in my life. And so I thought, this would be something really cool to talk about today, just because of being impacted by it twice, specifically this week, but so many times throughout the last couple of years. This idea of an opportunity switch. I was first introduced to this idea by Russell Brunson when I was going through the ClickFunnels program and all of that marketing training. It has served me invaluably since. It's something that I've discovered in real estate. I've discovered it in ways in the stock market. I've discovered it and used it, applied it here in the Wealthy Legacy Journey. Plan to continue using it and applying it in the Wealthy Legacy Journey, Double Dare Your Money, all the different things that I do. This opportunity switch and the idea of it is so incredibly powerful. So before I get into exactly which ways that I've used it, experienced it, all that kind of stuff, I want to start off with real estate as always. So we just experienced not too long ago a 0.5 point rate cut in the market. And it's really cool because I'm starting to hear rumblings around of how this will positively affect the real estate market and how it'll open up buying power and it'll get money churning into real estate again, which is very exciting for the real estate holdings that we have. I'm hoping that it does something positive for both Hudson and for the Palestine lot that we've got. We've got some different ideas going with the Palestine lot. I talked with the agent. I'm not exactly sure why we haven't been approaching it strategically. I just had a conversation with that real estate agent. I was like, hey, have we thought about, throwing this back? And they're like, oh, that's a great idea. We can do it. And to me, I guess it's just like a simple idea. It's hard for me to know like what in my brain in and around real estate is like an investing thing and what of it is like just a normal standard thing. I guess because I've been an investor the entire time I've been in real estate, these things just seem like, oh, like everybody in real estate surely knows about this, right? And I'm coming to find out more and more that a lot of people don't. And so that's just been an interesting kind of aha bridge to cross epiphany, moment for me, realizing like, oh, there's like a lack of education of, more of the creative things. And I've seen that in other ways, but now with this listing, like, oh, there's definitely, the creativity of how to structure a deal, what kind of offers to make to a potential buyer. Like that's not there the way that I've, experienced it last few years inside of the investor realm. So, anyways, that's been interesting. So we're currently in the market pricing another 0.5 point rate cuts at the end of the year, probably two more 1/4 point rate cuts. That's what the market has priced in. So most likely that's what we'll see unless everything goes to crap and then they'll start cutting rates faster, or if things start heating up too fast, then they'll cut less aggressively. It was really cool though. Speaking of the first opportunity switch that I've experienced this week inside of real estate, is I was asked to do some marketing stuff alongside of the project manager role. And the marketing stuff that I was asked to work on was for a certain, group of bilingual real estate agents who speak Spanish and English. And explaining to them why they should come on board and become a VIP real estate agent is what I'm thinking about calling it. Some sort of like I've been kind of given this like rough idea of, basically we have these houses that are like in as is condition, and there's a lot of people who are struggling to find affordable housing, and so we want to connect people who need affordable housing, both English and Spanish speaking buyers who need affordable housing but can do the work themselves to fix it up. We want to connect them with these as is houses and sell them. With that being said, there's a lot of people out there who have this misconception that these deals can't be found anywhere. They can be found. It's just that, you have to go specific avenues through specific steps. And a lot of times it's done through wholesaling. So I think the idea here is how do we connect, us as a company, as Ambition Group, how do we get more aggressive about wholesaling, but not just selling it on the market ourselves? How do we do like off market wholesaling to, a traditional buyer? But we have the lender lined up and all these different, aspects. And it's kind of a cool, workflow of the things that we can do. But my job as the marketing guy is going, okay, how do we get real estate agents on board with this idea? They have a lot of different things that they could do as far as making money and what they could focus on as real estate agents. So how do I make mine the shiniest, sexiest option in the room for them? So they're like, yes, if I'm going to give my time, energy, and attention to anything this week, I'm going to give it to that. And so I've been having to think about, okay, what are the different opportunity switches that we can give for real estate agents? It was interesting when I was talking with my team originally about the idea. They started pitching it one way. And the idea, they started off pitching it in a direction of what's the opportunity switch that they can do for the buyer. And I was like, that's great. And I love that we're trying to, think about some opportunity switch ideas for the buyer. But the problem is that you're not marketing to the buyer right now. Right now, you're marketing to real estate agents to get real estate agents on board with this idea. Their clients will actually be the buyer, and so that's kind of the workflow that we're looking at. So it's like, how do we create this opportunity switch for real estate agents? So I've got several ideas that I'm kind of working through. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I will be sharing those revelations and uncoverings as I come across them, what works, what doesn't work, how we're flowing, what is going on, and all those kinds of things. So that's kind of the first opportunity switch that came up this week is in real estate. How do I we have this new product. We're trying to kind of sell these off-market properties in a different way. We're not trying to wholesale them, which would be an off-market. We're not trying to wholesale them on market. We're trying to do an off-market sale, but it's a wholesale experience to just a normal buyer to give them affordable housing. How do we, package that idea together as a singular product to be able to sell into the marketplace, get people hooked and say, yes, I want that. And so my job is to say, how is this not just, especially for real estate agents, how is this not just a faster process? How is this not just a better process? How is this not just like a more profitable process, but how is this instead an entirely different process than anything else they could be doing that is really going to be able to set them apart and give them huge potential, maximum gains, maximum profitability inside of their business as a real estate agent? How do I do things? How do I frame it in such a way that it's like this is no longer in the red ocean of being a real estate, but by becoming a VIP ambition group realtor or a diamond tier, ambition group real, some platinum level, some sort of like high tier level real estate agent. It's not just a better, faster, more. It is completely different, right? And that's the switch. Okay. So that's a lot of what I'm thinking on right now. Like I said, I got some really cool ideas around that, and I'll be sharing those over the next coming weeks as those start to kind of unfold. In the stock market, this week was a very interesting week. It had some huge struggles. So I'm just going to start with sniping. On Thursday, I experienced a massive loss. So our rule is to trade $1,000 at a time. Now, I will say, as just kind of a spoiler, I broke that rule, unfortunately, and had to slap myself on the wrist and say, no, don't do that. But I ended up, my biggest trade that I took was like a $4,000 trade. I ended up down for that day like $4,300. Now, this was all in the paper account. So if you guys remember back in September, we were paper trading like on sticky notes, actually on paper. So this month, we actually moved everything into the paper trading paper account because we were crushing it last month. It was like, okay, let's take the next right step forward. Let's not go straight to real trading, paper trading. So glad we did because it was just a huge different mental hurdle to overcome whenever you could immediately see your profit and loss for the day. You could see your P&L statement on every trade for every second. You can see it for every day. I ended up having to get rid of the P&L on my screen and just go, I just need to be making the best, most educated decisions that I can be for the trade that I'm taking, right? And so one of the things that anyway, I won't go into like what all happened, but I was burned. There was a huge amount of choppiness in the market, meaning that I was going up, then it was going down, then it was going up, then it was going down. I got burned by that chop in the market. So two lessons that I learned from Thursday that I wrote in my trading journals is going through the days, kind of like my summary. Number one, plan the trade, trade the plan, right? So I need to be able to see from where the price is at right now to the right of the charts. And this guy, Donald Williams, I listened to, he goes, I'm not going to sound like the weatherman here, but he said, I guarantee you there's only three directions that the market can move. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go sideways. I was like, oh, that's really true. And, right. And he goes sideways means it's just killing time, but it's just moving inside of this range and it's not really doing anything. If it goes up, obviously it's moving in a bullish direction. If it goes down, it's moving in a bearish direction. It's losing value. So he goes, what you need to do is have a game plan for if it moves up, down, or sideways. And that's what I'm going to do. And I thought, oh, it seems so simple, but it's so good. Like, I don't want to be making decisions real time. I want to have made all the decisions for that trade before that trade even gets put on, where I say, okay, if it moves up into this level, I'm going to go ahead and sell a partial. I'm going to sell the whole thing. If it moves down into this level, I'm going to stop out. If it moves sideways, over to here and we haven't done anything, then it's chopping sideways. I'm going to exit the trade because maybe it's broken a triangle ceiling, or it's broken some type of probably wouldn't broken a floor if it's moving sideways, but if it was like a symmetrical triangle, it's going to end up breaking down or up, just depending, because if it's moving sideways and you have this triangle like this, that price is eventually going to break some sort of ceiling somewhere, or some sort of, if it's like an angled floor, angled ceiling, like at some point it's going to break something. And that's how you have to make your decisions. And so a lot of times inside of these snipings, for me personally, I've been making decisions off of VP levels, volume, price action levels, into shapes. And so you have like symmetrical triangles, you have pennants, you've got flags, you got bull flags, bear flags. Some of the other ones might be like, head and shoulders, cup and handle, but a lot of those cup and handles, head and shoulders and stuff, they end up drawing these triangle patterns anyway. So I trade a lot of triangle patterns, and I'm looking for, ceiling breaks, floor breaks. I'm looking for VP level breaks. I'm looking for VP level touches. And those are my stop losses, my take profits, my partial profits, full profits, whatever those might be. I might have a partial entry with a secondary entry. So like I might have a partial entry on a breakout with a secondary entry on a confirmed retest. And so it's been really cool to learn. I did really good at planning out my trade and then trading the plan on paper. Then whenever I got to actual paper trading inside the account, when I can see that P&L statement, I started to just make emotional based decisions and not trading my plan. And so then on Friday, I just cleaned the slate. It's like, we're going to start anew. And I ended up drawing out, like, here's the shape that I'm trading. And I drew arrows like, this is where I want to enter. This is where I'm going to exit. I'm going to exit if it does this. I'm going to take profit if it hits here. I'm going to do a full take profit here. I'm going to let runners off. I'm going to have this many runners. This is what my percentage to be. I had the whole plan for the entire trade drawn out, planned out before I even executed the trade. Because I said, if it comes down to this level, I'm going to enter the trade. And then from there, if it goes back up and it goes past, breaks this level, I'm going to exit. If it goes down to this level after it, hits that point, this is where I'm going to take a partial take profit. And then if it goes down here, this is where I'm going to take my full take profit. And so as the price was moving, I was like, I see it setting up this shape. If this shape confirms for me, then this is going to be my trade plan based off of the price action that I'm looking at right now. It was so good. Friday I did way better. Friday I stayed in just a much tighter channel of profit and losses. Again, it just ranged. It was super, super choppy. Several other traders in the room were losing money. And I ended up down only $71. It was like down like 7%. So, you have this massive 430% loss on Thursday. And then on Friday during a super chop day, I was only down 7%. I was up a couple $100, down a couple $100, up a little bit, down a little bit, ended up down $70 when I was like, okay, all is said and done. I'm ready to just be done for the week. It was exhausting because you're constantly having to pivot and look at how the market's changing, ebbing, flowing, especially on those neutral days, getting to break even really quickly. So anyways, I learned a ton of great stuff from sniping this week. I'm so glad that I kind of took this process and iterations like, okay, I'm going to practice here. And then I'm going to take the next step and practice here. And before I take that next step and use my real money, because right now I'm not stressed about like, oh, I lost $4,000 because it was all on paper. Like, I'm not really worried about it. I'm going to earn my way back. But if I had actually lost $4,000, I might be singing a little bit different song right now and be a little bit more beat up. So, there's a balance. Don't take analysis paralysis too far where you're always afraid to take action. But, make sure that you're also getting the practice that you need before you pull the trigger and you don't just blow up your account, right? Also at the same time, though, and so this is something that these guys have just been harping on, is position sizing, position sizing, position sizing. Don't position size bigger than you are personally comfortable with. And so I have to pick a place where I'm comfortable with X amount of position size. I'm comfortable with X amount of risk. I'm willing to lose X amount on a trade, and never trade more than you're willing to risk. And I felt that because whenever I took a $4,000 trade and it went against me by like 15%, well, all of a sudden, that 15% down on a $4,000 trade was $600. that hurt a lot more than a 15% down trade on $1,000, which would be 150 bucks. Like, to me, mentally, I can overcome 150 bucks. $600 feels like, oh my gosh, that's a huge thing to like have to overcome at my level of trading. Statistically speaking, if you were looking at, apples to apples, 1,000 lost 1,500, or 150 bucks, and 4,000 lost $600, it's the exact same math. But mentally, that dollar figure just a lot harder for my mind to recover from. VMAX 4 was great. It was a little over break even, even on this very choppy market. We've already taken one take profit and one stopped out for this week as well, this being Monday morning. And market opened about 40 minutes ago at this point. And so we've already taken a take profit, already had a stop loss. And so we're, back to about break even as the market's really in this neutral zone right now, trying to decide, is it going to break up? Is it going to break down? Which direction are we going to go? In War Room, I learned how to look ahead of the curve for different market opportunities. One of the things specifically talked about was the unfortunate but escalated attacks, violence, whatever you want to say, with the upcoming elections that we've been experiencing. That there was an attempted assassination on President Donald Trump. Not to get political about anything, but it's true. And so one of the plays that they talked about in the War Room was on a company that produces a lot of the body cams for law enforcement forces, and they said, the use of body cam footage is going up. It's continuing to be something that's growing in popularity, number one. And number two, with the escalating rise of potential breaches of security during these election times, they're, assuming that we're going to up technology and, up personnel for different events for security purposes, meaning that more body cams and things of that nature will have to be purchased. So we took a play on that last week, and then we ended up with a quick winner off of that idea. And so it's just thinking about, oh, what am I seeing in the world around me? And what kind of outcomes is that going to produce? And then how do I trade that with accuracy? So seeing around the curve, it's a really interesting idea. I'm nowhere close to being able to like do that skillfully well on my own, but learning like how to get my brain to start thinking that way is really cool, really powerful. In the Cash Flow Academy, learn how to sit back and watch from a safe distance. We didn't do any buying or selling inside of that classroom. And he, talked about how the market is just in this neutral spot, could go down, could go up. He kind of wants to wait for the market to make a decision before he kind of takes his next move. So we evaluated the portfolio, make sure that there was not too much pain anywhere. And then once we kind of came to the conclusion that there wasn't too much pain anywhere on the portfolio, it was like, okay, let's just sit back, give it another week of time, and see what happens. In Cash Flow Academy, it's much more of a long-term wealth building perspective versus, War Room and Daily Profits Live with, Nate Bear. Because Cash Flow Academy, that's Andy Tanner, Noah Davidson. The War Room is Brian Bottarelli and Karim Rotulam. And you also have in Daily Profits Live, which is kind of like a, sister kind of offering there at Daily Profits Live. That's Nate Bear. There's Donald Williams, Nate G. And so anyways, it's interesting to see that short-term versus long-term, trading type perspective. Lastly, with, D-Man sniping, learning that's Donald Williams. He goes by D-Man. I guess it's his trading call sign. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But, I learned a lot from this week. I did a lot of studying up in the evenings after, I took that huge loss on Thursday and going, okay, I want to understand bottoms better or double hits. I want to understand double tops, double bottoms in the market, how to read which direction those are going to go. And I got a lot of learning from him in that based on, looking at what market conditions are you in and using those market conditions to evaluate whether this will be a top or a bottom. Right. And so he's in this long-term bullish perspective through the end of the year. And so he's looking to buy the dip every opportunity he can. So every time he sees a double bottom right now, he's looking at the next 3 months. And so being bullish based on the market analysis that he's done. And so he's buying the dip every single time. But then if he's wrong, he just holds it and he buys the dip again. He's just lowering his cost base. He's lowering his cost base. He has a 3-month trade plan on the table. Whereas for me, I'm trading day by day. So it's like, okay, I would do this. I learned how to do this pre-market analysis from Noah Davidson every time he steps into the room. First thing he does this macro analysis on the the indexes, really, the Dow Jones, S&P 500, NASDAQ, and the Russell 2000 index. And then he steps back and goes to the S&P 500 sectors, and he starts looking at communication. He starts looking at consumer cyclicals, consumer what is that? It's like consumer XLP is like consumer product. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Technology, utilities, energies, finances, all those. And he takes a look at the entire market and just to decide which direction are we moving. How are we ebbing and flowing? And then he looks at the best sector for buying opportunities, and that's how he picks long-term buys. I'm using that same thought process to go, okay, do I see the market today, especially in pre-market, I'm looking at, do I see the market as bullish, bearish, or neutral? Not really making a decision, one way or another. And then at the opening of the market, one thing I've learned from D-Man is to look at the second hour bar. So if your first hour bar, is in this range, if the second hour bar closes below that range, it's typically bearish. If it closes above that range, the market's going to be bullish. If it closes inside of that range, the market's still neutral, hasn't really decided a direction of where to go. Now, let's say your second hour bar closes below. What you'd really like to see is a third hour bar close even below that. Kind of worser case is if it closes inside of that second bar, that's okay. It's bearish, but not strong. If it closes back up inside of the first bar, then it's like, okay, now we're back to neutral. That was a false breakout or false breakdown. So, anyways, learning about how to evaluate market conditions on the fly and trade based off of those. So, if it's a neutral day, a lot of times I'm going to trade the bounce on the double top and the double bottom. Whereas if I'm bearish for the day, I might trade the breakdown on a double bottom, but I'll trade the bounce on a double top because I'm bearish for the day. If I'm bullish for the day, I'll trade the bounce on a double bottom, but I might trade the breakout on a double top. Now, that differs from the triples. On the triple bottoms and the triple tops, there's an 80% chance of breakout. So we always trade the breakout on those. Now, if you are bullish on the day and you hit a triple bottom, the idea there would be, okay, let's take a partial entry on the wick and then another partial entry on a confirmed retest, or maybe let's just wait entirely for the confirmed retest before I enter into that trade to make sure that that trade is going to stick before I put my capital into it. And so lots of great things that I've learned through the stock market, but it was cool because when I was thinking about this idea of what we're talking about today, the power of an opportunity switch, I thought about how powerful it's been for me, that opportunity switch from real estate to stock market. Do I love real estate? Yes. Do I think it's a wonderful vehicle for making money? Yes. Do I think it's definitely have powerful investing opportunities? 100%. I could not tell you why, but I've struggled for years to really connect with real estate. And I honestly don't know which aspect about it is that I struggle to go from this healthy jog to a, full out sprint where I'm crushing it in real estate. I've done very well in real estate, but I've never just found that groove where it's like, I can do this on my own. I feel uber confident. Like this, I can, conquer and crush this game of real estate. I just never have come across that sensation where I'm like, I can be one of the best. In stocks, I just have this confidence about it. I understand the math. I understand the numbers. I love the macroeconomics of it. I love, the thought process and the analytics of it. And I feel like I found this opportunity where it's like I can take all these things that I've learned from real estate, the mindset stuff, apply it to stocks, and we're doing pretty well right now. And so that's really exciting. That's not me saying for sure that, stocks are going to be the way. I don't think in any way am I ever going to just stick with stocks. I don't think I'm, especially in stocks, I don't think I'm ever going to stick with just sniping. I don't think I'm ever going to be just a day trader or just a long-term trader. I don't think I'll ever be just a stock guy. I plan to be all over the map. And that's because of the opportunity switch that I'm really, excited about for the Wealthy Legacy journey, which I'll talk about at the end. We've talked about it before. But before I, go to the end of this episode and talk about, all the rest of the things that I've learned this week, I want to talk about Libby. I'm so proud of her. Libby's my wife, for those who don't know. She's working on building up an art business as well. And it's really cool. She just did her first fair. We put in a ton of time, energy, and effort, especially her. She did all the painting. I helped her with some of the editing inside of Photoshop, get a process for that. She finished up that process. She's crushed it, done such a great job. I'm so proud of her. She had her first fair. She's pretty much 25% of the way to break even on the entire venture. She's a little over 50% break even. Once we had a lot of like, okay, we need to, there was some materials that we had to buy up front, like painting, some better paintbrushes for her and some better paper for her and things of that nature. We also, went through many, many iterations of trying out different prints, buying different paper for the prints until we finally found a good, print shop who can do the type of prints that Libby's needing to pull out all the colors from her watercolor after they're edited inside of Photoshop. And so that's where there's some extra costs there that didn't really go. If you're looking at the, based on the cost of just this getting to the fair, we're just looking at the cost of the fair and the cost of the final prints that we put together for Libby to take, and any materials she had to buy specifically for that fair. So a little over 50% of the way, 50% of the way to break even on just that fair. Like I said, about 25% of the way to break even on the entire venture, which is really great for a little startup. And I'm so proud of her. She is absolutely crushing it. It's really cool too. I love how she's listening to the market and what the market's telling her and the feedback the market's giving to her. She's gotten a lot of feedback, people asking for the art prints that she's doing. They want greeting cards, or they want postcards, and they would love to be able to buy that so they can do greeting cards for the holidays and things of that nature. So she is going to be working on some Christmas prints, and she is going to put those inside of greeting cards and postcards. Also, she has gotten a lot of feedback of people asking about nursery prints, which is something that she's done before for friends and family, and she'd really like to do again. And so she's going to start ramping that up. And she's also gotten asked she's gotten her first official commission. Technically, she says two. One of her commissions is drawing a logo for somebody, putting together a logo for somebody's farm. Actually, the farmer's market she went to, they asked her if she would do a logo for their farmer's market and draw up something for them and do an art piece. So that was her first. It's a small commission, but I'm so proud of her for getting her first commission, doing well, rocking it, having the confidence to say yes. Also, she's gotten commission from somebody to do a art print based on scripture, which is really cool. I'm excited to see how that comes out. There's been a lot of great ideas that we've had together from that moment, because the thing is a lot of people out there sell art, right? So going back to this idea of the power of an opportunity switch, how can we switch the opportunity? How can Libby not just sell art? For example, Dove soap, I believe, is back in the early 1900s. I could be a little bit incorrect on the dates on that. But they were struggling to figure out how to get their product of Dove soap to dominate the market. And they had this product of soap, and it was a better soap because it wasn't just soap. It was soap and a moisturizer, so it made it a better soap than other soaps. But those ER words, it's not an opportunity switch. It's just a higher improver. And it's hard to get people to move from one product to another off of something that might just be better. Because unless they're really discontent with the product that they're using, they might not have much motivation to switch to a better or just different product, right? So what the marketing guys for Dove ended up doing is they said, hey, this isn't soap that's also a moisturizer. No, no, no. It's moisturizer that also has the benefits of being soap. And that might sound like a little switch, but there wasn't really any moisturizer market to fight with. And so now all of a sudden, Dove soap becomes this brand of Dove moisturizer that also has soap. It's a completely different revolutionary product. And so it's like now you're going out and saying, hey, do you want soft, smooth, supple skin? Try Dove moisturizer. Oh, by the way, it also has soap. So you no longer have to buy soap anymore. So it's the same cost as your soap, maybe a little bit more, but it's pretty much the same cost as your soap, but it's a moisturizer and it also has the benefits of being soap. And now all of a sudden people go, oh, wow, I'm getting this, new innovative product of moisturizer, and I'm also getting the same soap that I've had before. It's a 2-for-1 combo. This is amazing. And you've given this awesome opportunity to switch. So for Libby, I was like, there's a lot of people out there selling art. But what if Libby's had this huge heart for having some type of mom women ministry that she serves and leads a lot in the same ways of what I'm trying to build here for the Wealthy Legacy Journey. And we've both kind of had this heart for ministry and encouraging people and loving on people. We've done it for years, and this is something that we love to do. We feel a lot of passion and fulfillment by doing. And so I was like, hey, what if you made these, nursery prints, and you also made some of these prints based on scripture, and you had some sort of QR code on there, and you did like a 1 to 2 minute devotional based on some of the small, quiet time that we're doing inside of the YouVersion Bible app. It's been really great. Really enjoy that for quiet time. And I was like, she's been enjoying it for quiet time. I was like, this is a great little format. What if you did the same thing? You did like a 1 to 2 minute quiet time, and then you also, had this like small devotional that went with it. So now you're not just selling art, but you're selling hope. You're selling encouragement. You're selling, this community of women who are lifting each other up, encouraging each other in motherhood, pointing each other towards the Lord. It's more than just art. So now if somebody's going to go pick between, oh, I want to get nursery prints for somebody for a baby shower, they could go get this. It's just a nursery print, or they could give somebody the gift of hope, encouragement, and support as a mom. And they also happen to get nursery prints out of the same deal. They also, or you could have somebody that's like, oh, I want to get, a scripture verse, a pretty scripture verse art for this woman or this mom that I know. And so then you have these two choices. It's like, oh, well, you could just get some pretty art for somebody, or you could get hope and encouragement and community and support for that woman or that mom that you know. And you also happen to get scripture based art with the same thing. Oof. Now you just set yourself apart. You're offering something that, yes, it might almost be the same, but the way you market it is as something totally different. And you've now separated yourself apart, and you've gone from fighting over this red ocean where there's tons and tons and tons of artists trying to sell art to where you're like, no, no, no. We don't sell art. We sell hope. We sell encouragement. We sell support. We sell community. And we just happen to use art as a vehicle to do that. So that's what she's done. That's her opportunity switch. And I'm actually going to, what did I say? I said selling. I felt like that was good. Hope, encouragement, support. I was like saying that. I was like, oh, this is good. Community. Just jot that down so I don't forget. So the other big life lessons learned is, like I said, there was the power of the opportunity switch in the wealthy legacy journey. One of the things I'll conclude with is that this switch is that the mindset and the process of investing is way more important than the vehicle that you use for investing. That's one of the big ideas around Double Dare Your Money. It doesn't matter if you're doing, garage sales, eBay sales, if you're flipping items. It doesn't matter if you're flipping, you're going to real estate and you're flipping houses. Or if you're wholesaling and you're flipping contracts, or if you're in the stock market and you're flipping contracts, you're flipping options contracts, or if you're investing into long-term value of companies, like it doesn't matter which vehicle you get into. If you understand the mindset and the principles and the process behind being a powerful and skilled investor, you will be able to tap into all of these different opportunities and absolutely crush it, right? Or even starting your own business, right? All these different things. It's how do I get my money working for me? And how do I get my money working for me faster and faster and faster with less and less of my time, energy, and attention being required out of it? How do I move from active income to active investment income to passive investment income, utilizing different vehicles where I don't have to get stuck in one opportunity, but I can go from pit stop to pit stop to pit stop in this investing journey, leveling up as I go. As I learn more, as my capital grows, I can level up at every single opportunity. So it's way more about the investing process and the investing mindset than it is about the vehicle. And, I keep reminding myself, this is kind of the last thing I've been struggling with this week is on paper, I'm crushing it. Like I own the roof over my head, I own it cash. We own both of our vehicles cash. We have cash flow every month. Our cash flow, I need to correct something from last week. Our cash flow this month was actually $1,300, not $1,500. I was incorrect about that. We're cash flowing every month, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 on average. I really think that we're getting very close to the point where we're probably a month or two away from cash flowing even more money off of the stock market when we're making money from there. I do have a very good job. I have a beautiful family, 3 beautiful kids. I have a wonderful, beautiful wife. Like my life is good. On paper, financially, I'm crushing it, right? I might not have a massive net worth, but I have a positive net worth. I have more positive net worth more than most. I might not have uber, excesses of positive cash flow, but I tell you what, I have more positive cash flow than most. So I just have to remind myself that like I am headed the right direction. I'm taking the right steps. But it's difficult to see that when you're wearing older clothes and you're driving the older car and you have to say no to doing some of the fun stuff because you have a goal, you have a direction, you have a trajectory, and this is where we're going. But if you don't have a super clear why reason, if it's not crystal clear in your mind what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where you're going, you're never going to get anywhere. But once you've experienced the power of an opportunity switch, where somebody talks to you and they explain to you, I know that you're in this vehicle right now and maybe it's not getting you amazing results, it's not getting where you want to go, or it's not getting you where you want to go fast enough. But look, if you look over here at this vehicle, it's totally different and it can get you exactly where you wanting to go in a fraction of the time. That's the power. So I have to remember that I've switched opportunities. I'm headed in the right direction. I'm moving at a really good pace. I've gotten a lot better handle on my financial life. I am the CFO of my life, and I've done a really good job with the help of the Lord figuring out how to live that out. I'm learning the stocks. I have investments in hand in real estate as well. It just takes time. So I have to remember to give my process the time that my process needs. I encourage you to remember to give your time the process that your process the time that your process needs as well. And with all that said, guys, let's close with our identity mantra for this week. I'll say it first. You guys say it after me. I explore the unknown. I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful, and my wake is a wealthy legacy. And as a reminder, guys, the way we define wealth here at the Wealthy Legacy Journey is simply the ability to cover your monthly expenses without having to lift a finger. And legacy is defined by leaving a long-lasting impact on others as they experience the fruit and they receive the fruit of your labor, whether that fruit be good or bad. The way that you leave good fruit is you plant good seeds, cultivate good trees, and those good trees will produce good fruit. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you like it. Please subscribe to the channel. Really helps the algorithm, really helps the channel. In the description of both the podcast and the YouTube episodes, there is multiple Google Doc links. One of them goes to the Wealthy Legacy Journey resources page, which has a bunch of cool stuff that's helped me in my investing journey that I think can help you in your investing journey as well. There's also a link to the Wealth Health Checkup for if you're just not really sure where to start or where to go or what your next right financial step is. You can go to that Wealth Health Checkup, plug everything in, and it'll give you a great color-coded system for going, here's where you're weakest. This is where you need to start focusing your time, energy, and attention in order to continue building forward. And then with all that said, guys, this has been another episode dedicated to you and your own personal wealthy legacy journey. So go out there this week, crush it, take the right next step. With all that said, guys, I cannot wait to hear about all of your success stories. Make sure you guys let me know success stories. Hit me up directly. Hit me up with some DMs. Let me know in the comments. Super excited to hear how life is going, how you're crushing it, how things are going right, even if you might be wearing the older clothes or driving the older car. You know, what right steps are you taking that's giving you success in the future because you're planting the right seeds today, you're cultivating the right seeds today, or the right trees in order to bear the fruit that you're looking for in tomorrow. It was awesome hanging out with you guys, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye, everybody.